Every morning sun rose over a quiet town where the sound of ticking clocks filled the air. Inside a small workshop, an old man sat at his wooden desk, surrounded by hundreds of clocks, big, small, round, square, each ticking at its own rhythm, yet perfectly in sync. He had spent his whole life repairing them. For him, time wasn't just numbers on a dial. It was life itself. One day a young man came to learn from him. He was curious, ambitious, but impatient. He watched the old man work in silence, his wrinkled hands steady, his eyes calm. After a while he asked, "Why do you always say time is gold? Everyone has time, don't they?" The old man smiled without looking up. "If it's so common," he said, "why do most people waste it as if they'll live forever?" The boy laughed. "Because we think we'll always have more of it." "That," said the old man softly, "is the biggest illusion." He handed the boy a small pocket watch. "Fix this," he said, "and remember you can't buy back the seconds you waste." Days turned into weeks. The boy worked half-heartedly, often arriving late, complaining about how slow things felt. While the old man spent each second carefully, the boy spent his scrolling, wandering, dreaming about someday. One evening, he saw the old man sitting by the window, staring quietly at an hourglass. "Why do you still use that?" he asked. "You have clocks everywhere." The old man smiled faintly. "Because this reminds me that every grain of sand that falls is a part of my life I'll never get back." He turned to the boy and asked, "What did you do today that truly mattered?" The boy stayed silent. He had no answer. Weeks later, a wealthy man came to the shop. He offered the old man a fortune to design a grand clock for the city, but the old man politely declined. The boy was shocked. "Why would you say no to that? It's a lifetime of money." The old man smiled again. "Because it would take 2 years, and I don't have that much time left." The boy froze. "What do you mean?" "My hands grow weaker each day," he said softly. "My eyes blur more with every sunrise. Money can wait. Time cannot." He looked toward the clock tower outside the window, sunlight catching his face. "I want to spend my last hours teaching what I've learned, not chasing more gold that time will soon bury." Months passed. One quiet night, the boy found the old man sitting beside the ticking tower, a candle burning low beside him. He was repairing his last clock. "Do you know why people fear old age?" the old man asked without looking up. "Because they lose their strength?" the boy replied. "No," said the old man, his voice trembling slightly. "Because they realize too late how much time they've wasted." He reached into his coat and pulled out the same pocket watch. "When I'm gone," he said, "this will be yours. But promise me one thing, never trade your hours for things that don't matter." Tears welled in the boy's eyes. "I promise," he whispered. The old man smiled one last time, looking up at the clock above. "The clock doesn't just measure time," he said. "It reminds us it's running out." And as the candle flickered, his hand grew still. The ticking seemed to stop for a moment, like even time paused to honor him. Years went by. The small workshop still stood at the corner of the street. Now the same young man, older, calmer, sat behind the same desk. People often saw him working late into the night, a small flame lighting his tools, and a worn pocket watch resting beside him. He never wasted a minute. Every hour was spent creating, helping, and living with purpose. Above his desk, carved into the wood, were words the old man once said, "Time is not money. Time is life." One morning, a little boy entered the shop. He watched the man fix a clock and asked innocently, "Sir, why do you keep looking at that old watch?" The man smiled. Because it belonged to someone who taught me how to live. The boy hesitated. Can you teach me too? The man looked at him kindly. Only if you promise one thing, never say, I'll do it later. The boy nodded eagerly. The man smiled and handed him a small broken watch. Then let's begin. The clock tower chimed outside, echoing through the valley as if time itself approved. And once again, the lesson continued. Every day, time gives us 86,400 seconds, a gift we take for granted. People spend money to save time, but waste time to make money. They wait for someday, forgetting that someday isn't on any calendar. Your time is your life. Protect it. Spend it wisely. Live it fully. Because once the clock stops, no amount of gold can make it tick again. Don't count every hour. Make every hour count.